Imagine a notebook. Anything you write in it and it's coming to life. Any second now.
Scribblenauts, probably one of the most ambitious and interesting game franchises to come out in recent times, if you consider 2009 recent, that is. Alright, listen, we're getting old, okay, deal with it. The concept was simple. Write anything you want into Maxwell's magical notebook and bam, it comes to life.
While it might sound overly ambitious, no, you can literally type anything and everything and it will show up.
You want the frickin' justice of the peace? Go for it. In 2009 on the Nintendo DS, a project like this was wild. Over 22,000 words could be summoned. Now, there were some restrictions, of course. You can't type swear words. I tried. No brands were allowed and no people. Except Michael Jackson for some reason. He's there. I think Scribblenauts is interesting because this franchise would have totally taken a different turn if smartphones came out even a year or two earlier than they did, in my opinion. The iPhone was, of course, out and somewhat relevant at the time, but iOS games didn't really take off until the early 2010s, and yet to factor in development time, of course, too. So hey, the technology wasn't entirely there or modernized yet, so here's our good old friend, the Nintendo DS. Oh, I love the DS. PictoChat on the school bus, games that wanted you to use the touchscreen to replace analog movement. I'm glad this didn't last. Pokemon was actually good, and those were the days, man. I spent countless hours on this thing, and so did millions of people. 154 millions to be exact. Actually, 154.02 millions. Alright, you get the idea. The touchscreen of the Nintendo DS was the biggest selling point, and for good reason. It gave way to a completely different form of gaming that really wasn't seen before, except in the GameCom, but I'm just gonna revise history and pretend that piece of crap never came out. Is that a deal? Are we good with that? Some games used it for map stuff, some put the action on both screens, some helped you quit smoking, and of course, Scribblenauts would use it to have the players bring their very imaginations to life. Scribblenauts was created by Jeremiah Salagza under the company Fifth Cell. Previously, Fifth Cell were known for the THQ-published DS game Drawn to Life, which was a pretty cool idea, letting you draw your own protagonist, solutions to puzzles. I remember playing this game quite a bit as a kid, and it would go on to get a handful of games, and hey, you gotta hand it to Fifth Cell for trying to make some original franchises. Someone put this team up at Sony or Microsoft. They need it. Nowadays, Fifth Cell has mostly died out, but they did come back in 2021 to make Castlehold for the PC. Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but this kind of just looks like Fortnite, Overwatch, just every modern game thrown into a blender. Where's the special pizzazz, you know? Like, this company used to be so unique. But hey, you gotta respect the team for setting out to create original products back then. Even in the late 2000s, that's a big risk. Nowadays, something original is usually made as an indie game with less of a budget, and that's partially because of companies like EA, Activision, Ubisoft. They want to know it'll sell before they fund it. But no, Drawn to Life and Scribblenauts were fully fledged original titles with a genuine budget. No digital release, no frills, legitimate new games with innovative ideas. And I'm going so far into this because Scribblenauts directly came from developers refusing to work on a licensed game. THQ, after the success of Drawn to Life, wanted Fifth Cell to work on their licensed games. Jeremiah would say, well, we don't really do licensed titles, to which THQ responded with, what are you talking about? You know, THQ actually has a point, because Fifth Cell kind of made a few licensed phone titles. I don't exactly know what they're talking about. All jokes aside, the money earned from Drawn to Life would lead the developers to a position where they could craft and develop their next original game, which would begin development in 2008. This game was based off of a concept where you could write sentences on the DS's touchscreen, where on the top screen, a story based off of that sentence would come alive. Now, of course, that's quite simple of an idea, not really a game, but as a film student, if I've learned anything, it's that this is fairly normal, even with the movies. Good ideas often stem from a brief thought. A big blockbuster movie could start being written on a napkin, and as it would be shortly after, Jeremiah would go on to theorize a normal adventure puzzle game, but wanting to give it some juice would merge these two concepts together. Fifth Cell would self-fund it, with Jeremiah citing not wanting publishers to freak out and not have any faith in the product.
So, well, you could make a game that you could do anything.
Yeah.